It was a cold Christmas night, and I was completely alone. Ever since my parents died in an accident, I've had nobody. While walking through the empty streets, I noticed someone else freezing in the cold. A Santa Claus begging for money. Even though I had almost nothing myself, I decided to help him. I picked up some food and money and handed it to him. But suddenly, he grabbed my arm. His grip was unbelievably strong. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't pull away. Then he said, "Tell me your wish, I'll repay you." I tried refusing, but he tightened his grip even more. So I hurriedly said, "I want to win the lottery." But he immediately cut me off. "That's not your true wish." Then he stared directly into my eyes and said, "Tell me what your heart really wants." And that's when I realized it. More than money, more than anything, I just wanted a family. So I told him, "I want a wife with bunny-like looks and a cute daughter." The strange Santa smiled. "I understand, that is your true wish." Suddenly, his face twisted into something terrifying, almost like a demon sealing a contract. And before I knew it, I finally pulled away and immediately left. While riding the train home, I kept thinking about what happened. Maybe that was my true wish. For the first time in years, I felt warm inside, and then I fell asleep. When I woke up, my head was pounding, and it was freezing cold. That's when I realized I was trapped inside a cage in a moving carriage. The people around me looked medieval, and I couldn't even understand their language. Wait, am I in another world? I was shaking from the cold when I noticed a corpse nearby. I'm sorry, but I needed the clothes more. After days trapped inside the carriage, I finally understood what was happening. Me and everyone else in the cage were slaves. They traveled from village to village, selling us off. Every time they opened the cage, I searched desperately for a way to escape, but there was none. Hopeless and starving, I started regretting my wish. Why did I wish for something like that? Finally, I gave up. I grabbed a fork and thought, maybe the only escape. But just as I was about to do it, a hand suddenly reached through the cage, holding bread. I looked up and saw a beautiful woman smiling at me, and beside her was a little girl. At that moment, I couldn't help but think, is this the wish I asked for? Chapter begins with the woman's backstory. She and the little girl are quietly eating together when suddenly, bunch. Someone starts pounding on the door. A voice from outside says, "There's no need to open it. The council has decided that one of the soldiers' men will become your husband. Prepare to move with him." He also orders her to bring food to welcome the soldiers at the village entrance. The woman freezes in fear, because she can't leave the little girl alone. A girl with no name, abandoned by her own father. Then we learn her painful past. She was sold away by her father and abused every single day. Her life was pure hell. But even in that darkness, she once met someone who felt like an angel. Unfortunately, one day he disappeared. People later said he had been devoured by wolves. She relieved, but also terrified. Because in this world, a woman and child without a man protecting them are like sheep outside the fence. When they arrive at the village entrance carrying food for the soldiers, they notice a strange carriage nearby. As they get closer, they see a slave inside the cage, holding a fork against his own neck. The woman instantly remembers her own suffering. She knows exactly how hopeless he feels. So she grabs a piece of bread and gently reaches her hand toward the cage. But before anything else can happen, the village elder arrives. He tells her to go back home while he welcomes the soldiers. Meanwhile, just as the slave is about to eat the bread, the soldiers suddenly storm into the cage and drag everyone outside. They line up all the slaves in front of the villagers. Then something terrifying begins. The soldiers slash their arms and let their blood drip onto strange sheets of paper. And suddenly, the papers start glowing. Mick, what kind of world did I end up in? Then the elder walks directly toward him. He drags him into a cabin and says, "You will become that woman's husband." That's when he realizes it's the same woman who gave him bread. But why is she trembling so much? The elder gets annoyed and pushes them closer together, forcing them to hold hands. Then he laughs and says, "You two already look like a real couple." At that moment, everything clicks in his mind. A bunny-like wife, a cute daughter, the exact she made to Santa. Could he be real? Did he grant his wish? Even if this is my wish, he didn't have to go as far as sending me into another world. Or is it still impossible to achieve without suffering first? If I ever see Santa again, I will surely kill him. I went outside with the chief and the other people. It's crazy not understanding a single thing they're saying. The blonde man walked close to me. It seemed like he wanted to shake hands, so I shook his hand. He started gripping hard, so I gripped his hand too. Is this their way of greeting? He suddenly knelt down, looking thankful for our meeting. The chief clapped while walking closer. Then he handed me a bow. He suddenly acted weird. What is that? A rabbit. So he's asking me to learn how to hunt. He shook his head, pointing at something. Oh, it's a rabbit. Is he telling me to shoot now? But I haven't even held a bow before. I think I should just wait what's on in the Olympics. I released the arrow and it flew way past the rabbit. How can I miss that badly? I suddenly heard something from behind. Seeing her, I still can't believe she is my wife. We sat down on a blanket. We were having a picnic. She handed me food and awkwardly looked at my reaction. I smirked, thinking that this was the feeling of having a family. As much as I want to kill you, Santa, I'm also grateful for this. After one day, things started moving at a fast pace. We were walking and they already seemed tired. They can't understand me, but I think I should help them. I approached them, but they seemed worried. They cried and I couldn't understand them, but it seemed like they thought I threatened them. So I carried them instead, hoping they wouldn't be worried anymore. I carried luggage on my back, but they seemed so light. I thanked the chief for showing us our home. Then he left while I bowed my head. I opened the door and saw my wife crying. Why are you crying? But she suddenly ran off. She cried, thinking that while she was down in the village, someone had ransacked the house. All the tools, tables, and shelves were gone. But he went after me. Even if I can't understand him, he still patted my head and tried to comfort me. Is he telling me not to worry? He can't even understand me, so how can he be this calm? And why do I feel more protected than before? I told her that in my old world, I had been alone ever since the day my parents passed away. Even so, I endured and struggled just to survive. So now that I finally have a family, there's no reason for me not to endure anything. I told her, I'll take care of everything. She started crying, even though she didn't fully understand my words. Then our daughter suddenly ran toward us, shouting, "Don't bully Lizzie." I still had many questions in my mind. Who exactly is she, and whose daughter is this little girl? But instead of asking, I simply held both of their hands. Then I promised them, no matter what happens, I'll make both of you happy. We went back to the house, but things still felt a little awkward between us. So I tried communicating with them. I pointed at myself and said, "My name is Kim." She seemed to understand and quietly replied, "Lizzie." Then I looked at the little girl and asked for her name, but she immediately looked at Lizzie. That's when I realized she never had a name before. Smiled and said, "Then I'll give you one. Your name is Dorothy." The little girl's face instantly lit up with happiness. Looking at him closely, he really is strange. Even though he's big and strong, he never hits us. He's different. Kim, that's what he said his name was. Black hair, black eyes, just like the legendary hero from the stories. But there's no way someone like that would actually be here. Although looking closer, his hair and eyes seemed slightly brown. Then suddenly, he gently patted my head. The only hands that were ever placed on my head before were hands that wanted to hurt me. At that moment, I wished this feeling could last forever. Wait, what did I just do? I suddenly froze in place from embarrassment, and Kim quickly ran off awkwardly, embarrassed too. But as he wandered deeper into the woods while thinking about what happened, he failed to notice something dangerous nearby. Then suddenly, he heard a sound. Is that a wolf? I quietly knelt down and grabbed a wooden stick. As the wolf charged toward me, I jammed the stick into its mouth and punched it straight in the face. But even after that, it was still conscious. Suddenly, it bit down hard on my left arm. Why does it feel like it's burning? Wait, it really is burning. What is this surrounding my arm? I jumped onto the wolf's back and started punching it repeatedly until it finally stopped moving. It was over. But what was that fire? And why didn't my clothes have any burn marks? I just used magic. I immediately tried using every spell I knew from my old world. Fireball. Nothing happened. I kept trying different spells, but none of them worked. So was that really magic or something else? Either way, I couldn't stay there long. I lifted the wolf onto my shoulders, deciding to carry it home before more beasts appeared. Back at the house, it seemed unusually energetic. She ran around the house happily, helping Lizzie with chores. But the moment she looked outside the window, she froze. There was a giant wolf outside. Lizzie instantly grabbed a knife and rushed toward the door. But then she realized something. Kim was the one carrying the wolf. Both Lizzie and Dorothy immediately started crying while checking my body for injuries. I tried reassuring them. I'm fine, it's just a scratch on my arm. Even though I couldn't fully understand their words, I knew exactly what they were saying. They about me. Then Lizzie suddenly hugged me tightly, relieved that I was safe. The next morning, I was busy skinning the wolf I caught. I surprisingly finished it pretty quickly. Then Lizzie called to me. She was holding a bucket, which probably meant me to place the meat inside. So I smiled and said, "Thank you," in their language. Lizzie looked genuinely surprised. Then she smiled proudly, realizing that I was adapting quickly and learning fast. That's it for this episode. To know what happens next, please like and subscribe and check out other series in my channel. Comment what series should I recap next.